New York, the 2020 murder rates increased by 37.3% and by 37.5% in Philadelphia compared to 2019 rates. These cities, of course, all have things in common. They're all run entirely by Democrats. They all have strict gun control measures that criminals don't follow. Law-abiding citizens are disarmed, the criminals are not, and the deaths follows accordingly. And they're also all epicenters of the Democrats' radical push to defund the police. This committee has confirmed one senior official at the Department of Justice who's advocating defunding the police, and this committee is preparing to move forward on a second senior official at the Department of Justice who's advocating defunding the police. If Democrats want to stop gun violence, let's have a hearing on how the move to defund the police is causing more homicides. Let's have a hearing on how gun control proposals are making people more vulnerable to violent crime and how they failed the big city Democrat cities. That actually would be a hearing focused on crime and stopping it, and not instead a made-up topic of ghost guns. We already know that homemade guns are not a problem in terms of actually being involved in violent crime. When the Department of Justice surveyed criminals to ask how they obtain firearms used in crimes, not a single one appears to have said that he made his own weapon. Hear that again. The Department of Justice asked violent criminals, where'd you get their guns? 0 said it was a so-called ghost gun. 43% of criminals got their firearms from underground markets. 6% stole them, and 25% of them obtained them from an individual. So why are we talking about this made-up issue? It's simple. Democrats don't want to address the consistent, proven, empirical failure of gun control laws. They don't work, and they make crime worse. But they also want to scapegoat law-abiding citizens, the hobbyists who make homemade guns, who are not committing crimes. They want to scapegoat them. But the real issue is in something Chairman Blumenthal made several references to. He referred to these guns as untraceable. And that term was meant to be ominous. That's what this is all about. The Democrats on this committee want to trace every firearm in America. They want a registry of every firearm in America. They want a government list of what guns there are, who owns them, how many they own them, and inevitably, when you see countries enact registries of firearms, the next step is confiscation, and numerous Democrats on this committee have advocated for confiscating firearms. At home, Heidi and I own firearms. There is no government list of the firearms we own, and I'm very glad there's no government list of the firearms we own. We have an amendment in the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, that protects the right to keep and bear arms. This hearing is not about some real threat that's producing violent crime. There is 0 data to back up that this made-up phantom of ghost guns poses a real threat. Chairman Blumenthal wants to target violent crime. I would encourage him to join Senator Grassley and me in the Grassley-Cruz legislation that I introduced 9 years ago, targeting violent criminals, going after them, improving the background check system, improving the database, prosecuting felons and fugitives who lie trying to illegally buy a firearm. And I would note that when Grassley-Cruz was voted on the Senate floor in 2013 in the Democratic Senate, it got 52 votes on the Senate floor. It got 9 Democrats who voted in favor of it. The most bipartisan support of any of the comprehensive legislation. And the reason Grassley-Cruz didn't pass is Senate Democrats, including all 3 of the senators on the Democratic side of the aisle here today, voted against it and filibustered it, blocked it. Blocked real legislation targeting violent crime. Why? Because the objective instead is to target law-abiding citizens. That does nothing to stop crime, but it does a great deal to undermine our constitutional rights. I will note, finally, that as Chairman Blumenthal observed, there's a Rules Committee markup on legislation, S1 legislation many of us are referring to as the Corrupt Politicians Act. I'm going to spend the rest of the day in that Rules Committee markup, introducing and pressing a number of amendments. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be here as ranking member. Senator Lee has very graciously agreed to participate in the hearing in my stead while I'm in the Rules Committee hearing. Thank you.